Oh, we've just got Nissy popping in there, giving an eye over my shoulder. I am here, October Red Boxing, here with the lovely Kalle Sauerland. Always a pleasure. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
All right.
October Red.
October Red, yeah.
It's November sort of black today. November black for October Red. December green.
We like it.
I like October Red.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
How much?
Always reminds me of your lipstick. Always got red lipstick. Yeah, always think October Red. Cool. It's like it's a trademark name, isn't it? You got to think of like maybe a red jacket.
I've got plenty of those.
I think that's cool. Anyway, I love the name.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. Yeah, but I appreciate that. You've always been very supportive from the beginning. But we are here, and it's good news.
Yes, it is.
Chris Eubank Jr. is fighting, and he's fighting a very good contender in Liam Smith.
Absolutely, and you know, it's from one British blockbuster into another British blockbuster, isn't it? Really. Okay, the one didn't happen.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future, but no, we had to move. I said that, and we did.
How easy was it to make this fight? Because, like you said, you had to move. You wanted to make sure Chris was active. We're not going to touch anything on Conor Benn. Talk about the pushing towards this fight.
No, I think once the dust had settled, we looked at. There was three different options on the table. One in the UK and one abroad. And I spoke to Junior, and it was a very short conversation. You know, he wanted this fight. He's wanted this fight before as well. It was probably in the front running until we were speaking about Conor Benn. It was probably the front running fight, and then the Benn opportunity came, and it was one of those opportunities at the time which you just thought, right, it's quite a unique fight, so let's get it made. And you know, here we are announcing this huge fight today, and I think I do believe that it's also the styles of the fight that's going to make this famous, not a fight that we'll remember not just for a fun build-up, which I think it will be, given the two very different characters, the flamboyant Southerner against the proud Scouser. You know, out the Smiths, I've said before, I said it up there, you know, Paul and Kalle, I've worked with them over many fights, but it is Liam who's the facier of them. And I knew he'd get under his skin, and whether it's under his skin or not, but he's going to get a reaction of him, and he got it today, and it went back and forth, and we'll see a lot of that over the next 7-8 weeks. But I think what we'll remember most of this fight will be the actual fight itself, because their styles gel beautifully, both of them. I wouldn't say that defense is their their weapon of choice, and you know, they've been in there with the best, beaten some of the best. They've been around the block. We all know the Eubank name in boxing. We all know the Smith family in boxing. It's one of those fights that's a bit special, isn't it?
The attributes of the fighter, I like the way that you've said their styles are going to gel. They are both very spiteful. That is one thing that we can definitely say that fighters have got in common, inside and outside the ring. How do you think that this is going to help the build-up with further press conferences, the weigh-in, everything leading up to the bout itself?
Yeah, look, I think we're on a journey in the unknown, really, aren't we? I mean, I didn't expect to see a KFC jacket up there today. And I was sitting in with him before, and there was no KFC jacket there. He's great for a surprise. When he walked up, I wish someone had a camera on my face, because my reaction would have been one of those viral reactions. I was like, what is... At first I thought it was one of those old Formula One Marlborough jackets. Yes, you know, going back to the 80s. Yeah. You're far too young to remember that.
Oh, I do remember it.
But the Formula One, the Marlborough team, they had those jackets as well. I thought it was like some designer had put out a throwback to that. And then he got closer, and I'm sitting with my eyes ain't that great, but is that a KFC jacket? And fantastic. Actually, great quality jacket. It was very, very, very nice. Not saying I'd wear one myself, but he's now got a new fighting name, the Colonel.
Okay.
And it's going to be a zinging fight.
It definitely...
It's a non-paid promotion.
We like it. Chris Eubank Jr., a fighter that's sort of like been under the radar. And then when I say been under the radar, he's gone away, he's come back. He's gone away and he's come back. The fight that we were all looking forward to was obviously the Conor Benn fight. That went to rat shit, for want for a better word. But we are here today. Talk to me what you want to do with Chris Eubank Jr.'s career, because this is an important fight.
I know the question. I can answer it now. Blockbusters, and you know, Eubank Benn would have been a blockbuster. Eubank Smith will be a blockbuster, and we'll look past it from there. You know, people have asked me about world titles and things like that. Yeah, nice, but blockbusters, and some of the world champs. You know, Lara coming in at 37 years old. Is he? All due respect, is that a blockbuster? No, it's certainly not. So, you know, if the belts and the titles line up to make blockbuster events, absolutely. But you want fights that are going to pack stadiums where, you know, he can show his grandkids in years to come, hey, that was me fighting, and, you know, big arenas, and that's what Junior's about.
I want to touch on something you said at the top table. Now, me as a rookie, I don't understand the ins and outs, the business, the ins and outs, the business side of boxing. Yeah. You mentioned there, because I think there was a bit of contention around the word rematch clause. Yeah. Can you let us viewers know that, like you said, this is something that you always do? Yeah. So can you explain to us, talk to us about that?
It's something you always try and do.
Okay.
All right. I'm not going to speak for everyone, I'll speak for myself. If I have a fighter who is the A side, whether that be because he's the bigger name, because he's the champion, I will insist on a rematch clause, because in boxing, anything can happen. He can be winning the fight and the other guy hits him with an illegal blow, the ref don't see it, and he loses the fight. There's a scream up, the other guy's robbed our belt, robbed our A side, right? Boxer turns around to me in the dressing room and said, all right, well, we need to have that fight again. I like to be able to say, no problem, mate, we'll get that for you. That's what I do. And that's what I've been doing for 20-something years. So, love it or hate it, fans, that's what I need to do to protect my athletes, my gladiators. That's what I do.
It's interesting because I've never heard it like explained like that. Usually it looks like maybe a more, to say from the fans' point of view, it looks like a biased thing. You're sort of like covering yourself in case your fighter loses.
Well, I'll now say, well, you are, but you are at the same time you are protecting yourself against the nature of boxing, which is the unthinkable. Like, let's look at one fight I promoted over here, George Groves. Had George Groves, and I didn't promote in the first fight, had George Groves had a rematch clause against Carl Froch, would have been a quick thing to make. It took the public to say, right, we want that fight again. By the way, that's no criticism of whoever was his promoter at the time. I've got no idea who it was. He wasn't in a position to ask for that. He was the B side of a world title. He was challenging the mandatory challenge to Carl Froch. Carl Froch didn't want to fight George Groves in the first fight. That was a mandatory challenge. So then you don't have the opportunity to do that. I just lost this year a world champion down in Australia. No rematch clause. It was a mandatory, and as such, it didn't have a rematch clause in it. So there's times you can't do it, but this is a voluntary fight. You know, everyone wants it, but hey, the big bad promoter's also got to look out for his guy. You know, so it's not a junior request, it's not a Chris request. It's a deal that I've made with the promoter of Liam Smith, and Liam Smith has agreed to.
Right, I needed to get that clear because I didn't understand that bit.
Logical question.
So when we talk about Chris Eubank Jr., he's obviously going back to training with Roy Jones Jr. The duo meet again. I know there's Davies in the corner as well, the veteran trainer that's been there from the beginning.
Ronnie's like the pillar.
Yeah.
Ronnie's the pillar, and then the icing on top is obviously Roy Jones, you know. But Ronnie's the pillar. You know, he knows that family in and out. He's a real old school throwback. He reminds me of the trainer out of Rocky. You know, Rocky 1. Mickey. So yeah, and it's just fantastic, and to have him involved, you know, who's not a Roy Jones Jr. fan, but he also adds that certain thing to Junior's armour for what we're going to need on 21st of Jan.
One thing I would like to touch on, and I know, like you said, you're probably done speaking about it, but the thing is, with the fight not going through with Conor Benn, it's sort of like really turned Chris Eubank Jr. into sort of like a hero overnight with all the banter, you know, all the Facebook posts, everything that he was putting up has sort of like built his character back into boxing. So I know it's bad that it didn't happen, but there's been some good that's come from it.
I'd say I'd say it's a nice one. I'm sure he would trade that all in though if he could have had that fight. You know, it's very difficult to put any cherry on any cake in this situation. It was really the darkest moment of my 20-something year career, having to explain this to the fighter and do that, and him as a fighter, and I can't feel how dark it was. I can probably feel it more than you know, people who are not involved with boxing and just watch it, because I've been around fighters all my life. But the reaction of him, you know, he was very professional about it. Yeah, some people would have absolutely gone to shit on it. You know, he doesn't drink. He's, you know, luckily we weren't dealing with someone who does like a drink in between fights, because I'll tell you something, they'll be off on a bender for the next 6 years. But no, he actually kept training. He kept making weight. You know, we all saw the pictures. Yeah.
I know that was the dark part, but we are here, we are moving forward, things are looking positive. That is a fight that possibly can happen again. However, there is a rematch clause in this one.
Yeah.
Who else would you like to see? Because I was saying Triple G. That was a fight that I was looking to see Chris Eubank Jr. have. So, not overlooking Smith, because you can't.
Yeah.
But we talk about a lineup, we talk about a roadmap for Chris Eubank. Where do you see him going after this? Should he be successful, of course?
Not looking past 2020, January 21. Blockbuster year. That's what I'm going to say.
We love it. Kalle Sauerland, October Red Boxing. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Hi, and thank you for watching October Red Boxing. Like, subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications. You can also find us on Instagram at October Red Boxing and on Twitter, October Red UK. And remember, at October Red, we stay ready.